Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Nomofsky. We all go through tough times in our lives and we think, why me? Now, what do you do when your father dies suddenly, your mother commits suicide, and you are a young teenager and your entire safe life at home is overturned? Today's show is about resilience and choices that will get you to that next level. I'm joined by a Canadian icon, Riki Turofsky, soprano opera singer, philanthropist, author of Aria, A Song of a Life, and a lifestyle blogger for her women's site called suddenly70.ca. Riki, welcome to Empowered. Thank you so much for coming on today.
You're most welcome, Liz.
So let's begin. Why did you write your book?
Well, I had read a quote by Elie Wiesel, who was a Holocaust survivor, lived in the United States for many years, and it struck a chord with me. And it said, whoever survives a test must tell his story. That is his duty. And so when people were talking to me about, you should write a book, I thought, right, I should write a book. Perhaps it will be a way to help others who have gone through any kind of adversity in their lives.
Okay, so let's go back. Your childhood was great until you became a teenager. How did you cope with the drama of your life changes, your father's death, then your mother's sickness, and her ultimate suicide?
Well, when my father died, it was very unusual for someone of my age. And I felt watched. And, there's the girl whose father had died. But my mother fell into a deep depression and she suffered greatly from mental illness. We didn't know that, but she did. And she had a very difficult time accepting his death and her new life. And I just went about school and doing all the different things that I did, and tried to, in many ways, ignore what was going on at home. But it came to a head when the police arrived at my door to tell me, a young girl, that my mother had jumped from the top of the building, the Commerce building in downtown Toronto. So my life changed even
Wow.
more in a
So,
flash.
so how did you deal with your mother and the mental health issues and also being a teenager in high school? Because that's a lot to deal with.
It is. And what I did learn is that no matter how reasonable you are and how rational you are, someone who's suffering from mental illness doesn't get it. They're in their own world. And so I started reading Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. I went to high school every day. I did sports. I did all sorts of things. And I tried to ignore what was going on in my home. I'd come home from school. My mother would have the lights turned off because she thought we had no money. And, all that sort of thing. We had no food, no money. I took a job, and I dealt with it. I tried to be positive. And I really believe that being positive, it was part of my very special self. Perhaps I just put aside all the bad things and tried to look on the good side of things.
Well, you were young and you were trying to cope and survive. And you lived with total strangers who became your foster parents. What was that like? And did they include you into their family?
Well, I was so lucky, Liz, that I got into a foster family that was terrific. Both of Mr. and Mrs. White were school teachers, and he was a school teacher at my high school. And they decided they would take me on. Their daughter had gotten married, left the house, and so here they brought a young Jewish girl into a Christian home. They were simply wonderful, and I was very lucky. They convinced me to bring my mother's piano, which took over their entire living room, but have the music in my life. And I was a natural singer. I sang from the time that I could speak. And Mother White, but I started to call her Mother White, and Father White, they convinced me to sing. And their son-in-law was a music teacher and he played the piano. So we would have musical evenings. And it was, of course, wonderful for me in a way to come out. But I was very fortunate. I had very loving people and they did include me in all sorts of family events. I started to feel like a member of their family.
And that's incredible because you had just been through hell And all of a sudden now, these wonderful doors had opened up for you so that you could actually start living a quote unquote normal life. We're going to go to break right now, Riki, but I do want to keep talking about your book and your life because it is fascinating. It's a fascinating journey of resilience and giving back. Don't go away.